Hi guys, welcome to part 3 of my cubic deck profile. So in this video I'll be going over some of the tech options that you can put in the deck to maybe alter the strategy slightly, or if it's a different format then some of these cards might be nice. So I'll try to keep this list as non-generic as possible, because obviously cards like Ash Blossom could realistically go on any deck. So the cards that I list here are cards that I think have more than at least one reason to be in cubics. Basically what I'm saying is they're not just good cards, they're good cards in cubics for a reason. So we'll begin with Nibiru, the primal being. So the reason Nibiru is good in cubics is two main reasons behind obviously being good against combo. So he has 3000 attack, which means that if you have Crimson Nova on the field and you activate Nibiru, your opponent's board will get attributed, but you would keep Crimson Nova on the field because he's unaffected by Nibiru's activated effect. The second reason would be that Monster Gate, when you mill Nibiru, getting a 3k beater on the field isn't actually that bad, whereas if you had, say, Ghost Ogre or Ash Blossom, you can't really do much with them on the field. Next we'll move on to Eldritch the Golden Lord. So he's really good because he can send you cubic spells and traps from the field or your hand to the graveyard. But also he is a level 10, which means you can do some nice rank 10 Xyz plays. Then you have Zaphion the Time Lord. Again, level 10, so opens up some room for some Xyz plays. So this card's effect is that if you control no monsters, you can normal summon this card without tributing. It cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. But the best thing about this is at the end of the battle phase of this card battled, shuffle all spells and traps from the field that your opponent controls into the deck. So this is really good against decks like Sky Striker, even Eldritch as well, because it resets their field and also means they don't get any advantage. Next we've got Summoner Monk. So some builds focus on Summoner Monk and do like a rank 4 play, so he is still okay, he does work. The effect is once per turn you can discard one spell, special summon one level 4 monster from your deck, but it cannot attack this turn. So the idea is you summon out Duza and ideally you discard a Karma. Next we've got Gold and Silver Gadget. So Duza is a machine, so if you want to again focus on some rank 4s, you can normal summon out your Silver Gadget or Gold Gadget, and then if Duza is also in your hand, you get special summon out Duza, so he's quite good. Gen Exile Birdman, you can return one face-up monster you control to the hand, special summon this card from the hand. So this is really good for triggering Unification, so you normal Duza, special out Gen and you dump Unification, and then you special summon out Gen Exile Birdman to return Duza to hand, which triggers Unification of the Cubic Lords, which can get you another Duza on the field, so you basically just generated advantage there and then can go into like a synchro play. Next we'll potentially play Dark Garnex. So all the cubic monsters that I have not previously shown in the deck profile are not in the deck because they are not very good for advancing OTK and they just break. But Dark Garnex is maybe considerable just because it's a level 2. So if you get that on the field and Dark Garnex, Gira Guile, then you can go on some rank 2 plays potentially. It's just as an option. But the better one would probably be Cardbreaker, because that allows some rank 2 plays, but also it cannot be normal summoned or set, which means it's quite nice in conjunction with Monster Gate. So this card can only be special summoned in face-up attack position by sending one card from your spell trap cards onto the graveyard. So again, this can dump your cubic spells and traps to the grave, and you get a special summon off it, so that's really nice. Next we've got Eater Millions, can't be normal summon set, good with Monster Gate as well. And then it's non-targeting removal, so yeah, this is a pretty good card as well. Next I've got Dragon Buster Destruction Sword. So you can, if going first, make Union Carrier, and then you can bring out a V-Jam and equip Destruction Sword onto V-Jam. So because V-Jam can't be destroyed by battle, this is quite a nice little extra lock if you would like, so it can be quite difficult for your opponent to get over. Next we've got Heatwave. This is really good if you're going first. It reads, at the start of your main phase 1, neither player can normal special summon effect monsters until your next draw phase. So if your opponent has made you go first, and you know you're probably going to get OTK'd next turn, you can just play this, and then your opponent can't do anything, and that means turn 3, you draw an extra card, and then you can attack because they won't have any monsters on field. You've got a good chance of OTK. Next, just put in Metal Force Fusion. It's good to discard off things like Twin Twisters, but also if it goes into the deck with Monster Gate, you can use its draw effect, so that's quite nice. I've also put Galaxy Cyclone in here, so you target one set spell trap on the field, destroy it, and then during your main phase, except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you can banish it from the graveyard to target one face-up spell trap card on the field, destroy it. So the reason I put this in here is, again, with Monster Gate, if this gets milled, then in the grave it still has some sort of utility as well. Good for clearing things like Mystic Mine, that sort of thing. Then we've just got Lightning Storm. Just because we're going second deck, we can try to clear opponent's board before we do anything major. Pot of Extravagance, this is also an option. It does conflict with Dharma, but if you want to run Crimson Nova Turbo and not really focus on the extra deck, then this is quite a good option. Into the Void is potentially good as well. If you've got 3 more cards in your hand, you draw 1 card, and if you do during the end phase of this turn, discard your entire hand. So that 1 extra card may be what you need to get to Crimson Nova, so it can be quite helpful, but I feel like if it's at 1, maybe not, but I just thought I'd mention it anyway. Then we've got Lure of Darkness. You'll find Lure of Darkness more in like the Summoner Monk builds because they play more Dark monsters, but this is quite a good card for Cubics too. Then we've got Dark World Dealings. Each player draws 1 card, and each player discards a card. So although this is technically a -1, if you manage to discard like Karma or Unification, then this card is really good. We've got Slash Draw as well, because you get to mill your deck, so that's pretty nice. Then we've got Card Destruction, really good for sending potentially your cubic spells from your hand to the grave and then drawing, so it's quite nice. Then we have Performapple Popper Up. So you send up to 3 cards from your hand to the graveyard and draw that many cards. This is theoretically really good because you could send 2 Karmas to grave, for example, and draw 2 cards, which means this isn't a minus. It's just if you don't open those cards, then it is a technical minus and it's not amazing. Then we've got Double or Nothing. So if you focus more on rank 4s, you can use this to go into Utopia and then Utopia double, then Utopia to hit them for potentially over 8k damage. But it is a brick, so yeah, just be wary of that. Forbidden Droplet, because we like to send our cubic spells and traps to the grave. If we send 1 monster, then a bunch of our spells and traps, then that's pretty good. Mystic Mine, I mean, it's really good going second, but in cubic specifically, because you're only really going to summon out your boss monster, or at least that's your goal. Even if you've got Mystic Mine on field and your opponent has a huge board, you can still OTK with Crimson Nova, so that's really nice. Then you've got Numeron Network, but this applies for the whole Numeron strategy and as well Utopic Zexal. The reason Numerons work well with cubics is we don't want to summon that much anyway. So if we're going second, we can use the OTK variant of Numerons to get all 4 out, and then special Crimson Nova. And if going first, it gives us quite a powerful play if we manage to get Zexal out. Then we've got Recurring Nightmare. Target 2 dark monsters with 0 defense in your grave. Add those to the hand. Crimson Nova and V-Jam, both 0 defense and dark, so that's nice. Super Poly as well. We run that because a lot of our cubic cards are dark, but also we don't really need the extra deck. So if you want to focus more on Super Poly, that's fine. Then we've got Man of the Bound Creator. Level 10 or higher monsters on the field cannot be targeted or destroyed by card effects. So this is really good to protect your Crimson Nova from trap effects, spell effects, that sort of thing. There can be only 1, so each player can only control 1 type of monster. So because we don't really summon out that many monsters, this is really easy for cubics to play around. And I can say the same for Goes a Match and Rivalry of Warlords, just because we basically choose when we want to summon and what we want to summon, and we don't have to summon it if we don't want to. Then we've got Summon Limit. Neither player can summon more than 2 times per turn. Really good again in cubics because we don't need to summon that much. Ideally, we only summon once. Then we've got the 2 newish cubic traps, Cubic Ascension and Cubic Causality. So Ascension's really good if you're going first and you want to be a bit more defensive because it lets you bring V-Gem out from the deck. So if you're going up against like a Gren Magi deck, this is really good because it'll then negate the Gren Magi with the V-Gem, which is pretty nice. Then we've got Cubic Causality as well. Its second effect, which helps OTK, is fairly inconsistent, I'd say, so it's not really worth going into. But the first effect, if you're going first and manage to get 2 or 3 cubics on the field, then this is basically an imperm times 3. So you distribute a number of cubic counters on face-up monsters your opponent controls up to the number of cubic monsters you control. Monsters with cubic counters cannot attack, also negate their effects. So yeah, this is quite a powerful move if you manage to consistently get some cubics out. Then we've got magical hats. During your opponent's battle phase, you choose 2 spell or trap cards from your main deck and 1 monster in your zone. Special summon the spells and traps as normal monsters in face down defense position. Then you set the monster as well and shuffle them on the field. So this allows you to get out your cubic karmas potentially if you've been made to go first, or even unification, so that later on your next turn, if you survive, you can use them to go into Crimson Nova. So the 2 cards chosen from your deck are destroyed during the end of the battle phase as well. And then last we've got Red Reboot, just because we don't like back row, and Red Reboot really just shuts down back row for a turn, and that 1 turn is all we ideally need. So that's all the main deck cards I could think of. Next we'll go into some of the other ones. So I've got Link Karibo here, but this should be Relinquished Anima, just because you can use VGem on that. Then I've got the Union Carrier for the Buster Lock. Then I've got a bunch of rank 2s. They're not the best, but it just might trigger some ideas or something. Then some of the rank 4s that we've got here, Abyss Dweller and Baguska, they're quite good to play. And also I'd include Utopia Double and number 39 Utopia as well, if you want to focus more on the rank 4s. Then we've got the rank 10 trains, just because if you play either some Time Lords or Eldritch, or even if you just play Cubics, you can sometimes get 2 Crimson Novas out, and then you could potentially go into Gustav Max. So there have been games where I've maybe got 2 Crimson Novas out, and we've both been at the end of the battle phase on less than 3,000 life points, which means that during the end phase we'll draw. So sometimes you can go into Gustav Max to inflict that damage only to your opponent to win the game, which is quite nice. Then you've got the other 2 trains here as well. Then there's just this guy, just because he's a rank 10, and that's about it. So yeah, that rounds up the video on some of the tech options. There's probably a lot that I've missed out, and if I have missed out any good ones, please let me know, because I would like to at least try them out, because I'm always trying to make my cubic deck better. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.